Good evening, viewers. Hope all of you are doing truly well. And this has been an amazing week. Women need not be celebrated only on a Women's Day, but we decided to actually take an entire week because there have been such beautiful programs we have really brought on our channel. But today's program is completely unique because we again have women from different parts of the world. And it's such a pleasure to be here with Joanna, Kimberley, and Natalie. And I'm going to take the opportunity to introduce them and bring them onto the virtual stage. But before that, I want to give a quick introduction of our True Wealth online health channel. It's an initiative of True Wealth Integrative Healthcare, which provides integrative health and nutrition personalized nutrition advice to control, prevent, and reverse lifestyle, autoimmune, as well as infectious diseases like digestive diseases, diabetes, obesity, PCOS, infertility, arthritis, and many more, also helping patients recover from surgeries, infections, trauma, and of course, the growing children as well. So the idea is to help people reach the ultimate goal of holistic health and happiness. And True Wealth Online Health Channel shares authentic knowledge and wisdom from healthcare nutrition stalwarts to help you separate science from hype arising from the social media explosion and the sudden health and nutrition wisdom. And thus, this can aid you in making the right health and nutrition choices. So, really, with that, I want to open the stage up and introduce you to these beautiful women today out here. And I'm going to take the opportunity to go one by one to begin with Joanna Rogister. And she's not new to our channel though, because she's been helping us take or rather impart a lot of knowledge both when it comes to nutrition and wellness. She's of course um, Wellness Renegade is her baby, and she's a classical homeopath and a registered holistic nutritionist. Joanna was not always this. She actually has come from the great financial corporate world that we all get sucked up into, and she shares with expertise as an international speaker, wellness coach, and published author as well, while also running her own private practice in London, Ontario. She's an outspoken advocate, as she would like to introduce herself, and a Me Too for natural health practices and alternative health practices. She believes strongly that we are designed to heal ourselves, and she provides the tools so that each person can complete the process. That's such perfect thinking, Joanna, and I totally agree with you. The soul alchemist. Which is the right word actually that describes you. So we definitely want to hear what you would like to share with us today for women out there. We go through so many life cycles, and you're at a stage where you've done extremely well in the corporate sector, and at the same time, you switched careers. And how have you been able to balance all this out between personal, professional, and what's going to be your advice to women out there listening to you from all over the world?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on here. Always a pleasure to connect with you, Rajashree, and the amazing education and wisdom that you share, and to be on here with these other beautiful ladies. But you're right. I was in the corporate financial world for years, and at the time, I would love to say that it was exciting and it was fulfilling, and I experienced a lot, and had lots of adventures. But I would also say that those adventures led me to a place that wasn't in alignment with what my soul wanted for me. So at the time, so now it's about 15 years ago when I left the corporate financial world, and I just realized that I was stuck, right? I was trying to be that perfect mother and the perfect employee and the perfect wife. And, so many women are exactly like this, right? We do everything for everyone else, and we put ourselves so low on that list. And if you're in the corporate financial world, you're pushed even farther, because we're pushed, to be even more masculine than the feminine that truly comes out in us. And, this happens for women all over, but in the corporate financial world, it's just, you have to be more masculine, and you have to be willing to put everything else first except for yourself. And at some point in time, for anyone that's watching today, right, you've reached a point where you're saying, something's not working for me, right? Otherwise, why would you be searching for some information, some piece here? So if you're searching for more, if you've reached that point where you thought, this is not really working for me, then know that anything is possible for you. We all have that ability, as Rajashree mentioned, right? We all have that ability to heal ourselves. We all have the ability within us. We don't have to go outside of us. We all have that ability within us to say, hey, I want more. And then, right now, you may not know what your more is, but that now's the time to take that step. And with everything going on in the world, we're giving opportunities. And so for me, I was pushed into it because I was sick. I had Graves' disease, which is a hyperthyroid condition. But even that was a function of being overwhelmed in my life, physically, mentally, emotionally, and it manifested as my body being overwhelmed. And so that pushed me to actually stop and take a look at my life. And I encourage anyone watching, right? Now's the time to sit back and meditate, to explore and say, what do I really want? What makes me happy? What gets me up and going in the morning? And if it's still your job, then great, right? That's wonderful. But, if you're saying that it's not, then you take a look around. So for me, developing Graves' disease truly was a gift, because it forced me to stop and take a look at my life and see what was going on. And at the time I went to a naturopath. Now I go to homeopath. But at the time I went to a naturopath, and the naturopath, I started breathing differently. I looked at what I was eating. So my diet, I took some supplements, but the biggest thing that changed for me was my mindset. I had to stop and see that, this wasn't working, and I didn't have to have this perfect life. I didn't have to be everything for everyone else. I could look at me and say, I want something more. What is that? And how do I go about getting it? And I started to explore different natural therapies and how to heal yourself, and went back to school for the holistic nutrition. And then I came to realize that wasn't quite enough for me. And then I went back to school for homeopathy. But so there was no great plan. There was no big epiphany. It would just always was, oh, all right. So if this isn't working, then what do I want? And how can I get it? And how can I still take care of my 3 kids and the husband that I had at the time, although he was working all the time right in the house. And you can have everything if you take a look and decide what is best for me, as opposed to what is best for everyone else. It's okay to be self first, right? Not selfish, but self first. And so once you take a look at that mindset and take a look at, what do I really want? What's inside of me? What does my soul want? Then you can start to realize, how am I limiting myself? How is my world that I've created for myself right now, how is this preventing me from finding more? How is this preventing me from letting go of the fears or the blocks or, whatever is keeping me here right now. And once you step into that position, and I call it being an observer in your life, right? But it's about being curious about yourself, curious about the way you respond to people, curious about how you react to situations, curious about your emotions. The more you can be an observer and be curious, the more you can figure out, what do I want? What brings me joy? What brings me happiness? What can I let go of? Can I start to love myself more? And that's one of the biggest things that people can do for themselves, is to look at themselves and go, I love me. And if you can't say that, then it's being, well, I love parts of me. And what parts of me can I start to work on? And what parts of me can I let go of? And it's not with judgment of saying that part of me is bad or wrong, or that part of me needs to change, because that's not acceptable. But it's just looking at yourself and going, what parts of me do I really like? And what parts of me do I want to let go of and move forward from? But once again, never with judgment, because judgment assumes you did something wrong and you won't have done anything wrong. So I could have easily looked back at me in that corporate financial world and gone, why was I so crazy to stay there for so long? Yes, there was the money thing, right? And yes, it was in some ways exciting, because, you're going up against a lot of people all the time that, have bigger egos. And if you can compete, that's great. But it obviously wasn't doing anything for me, and I got sick. So there was something, I was not in alignment, because when you're in alignment with what your soul wants, then things work and they flow and you're healthy and you're, have abundance in your life. But that needed to change. And so I was able to move out of that corporate financial world. And it wasn't overnight, it was a process, but anything is possible if you start to understand and put yourself first. So that's my story in a brief nutshell. But I think that's the biggest thing that I'd love people to get, is that you looking inside of you and figuring out more of what you want is okay to do. In fact, it's more than okay. It's what you should be doing. And knowing that it's not wrong to do that. It's okay to put yourself first.
Well, I was completely captivated at what you were saying, and it was absolutely, it was like resounding what I have gone through, or what I am going through, or so many out there are going through, and it's so good to know that at the end of the, after so many years of turmoil, you're so sorted and you know what you want, and you're finally doing what you like, and you're able to, and I'm so glad that the reason why I'm doing this program is what exactly what you put through while you spoke right now. So I think even if we start making the 10% change based on what Joanna has really told us about, and start realizing those things. These weren't just words. I think I would, I mean, all the women who are watching out there, it's like you really have to go deeper with all the thoughts she shared with us today, and that's where we will the reincarnation or the change for the good, the positive can really happen. I'm not exaggerating at all, but that's it's awesome learning for me. Having listening to you, whatever you said right now.
Thank you.
But we will take a few more discussion points once all of them have spoken, because they're very interesting. And I would next go on to Kimberley, because Kimberley, I think you've been to introduce you. You are completely what do you say? A unique description. I haven't until now. I do so many programs. So many people are doctors, scientists, but your introduction is you're a divine guide who really uses her ability to connect to divine energy in helping people connect to their higher selves. This isn't something which anyone and everyone can do. It takes a completely different talent, experience, and I would say deeper thinking, sensing, and whatever you have actually been doing, you've actually been guiding people through spirit in addressing past and present issues that may be disconnecting them from the inner peace, and offers them everyday tools for sustained happiness and manifestation of their purpose. She like Joanna. She's also going to be captivating, bringing in an energy to the room today, also as she does that normally with everyone. And while she shares her experience of overcoming life challenging traumatic events. Uh, Kimberly, I'm very eager to listen into you, what all you have actually been, you've gone through, and that you are actually doing for the people whom you are helping out, and especially the women, because I know there is that emotion and health which always connects. So how are you really helping women be happy and healthy at the end of the day?
So thank you for inviting me today. I'm so happy to be part of this beautiful panel. So my story goes back 5 years. I was raised into hospitality. I always loved people. I was drawn to specifically elderly people, people in need. And that's kind of how I started. And I was a stay-at-home mom. I raised 3 children. Until 5 years ago, my world changed. And my niece, who I was super, super close to, she was like a daughter of mine. She was killed in a tragic accident, a 7-car pileup. She was killed on the scene. And when that happened, for the first time in my life, and I have experienced grief, but the first time in my life, that knocked me down. And I didn't know how to get up. And my family also was knocked down. So it's a little bit hard when you have a trauma in your family and everybody around you is knocked down with you, because then you don't necessarily have the strength of others to pull you up. So I knew I had to find my way through this. And as my family went through media, as my family was eyeballed through, every time we grieved, every time we had an action, we had media in our face. So I went down into a deep, dark hole. And I didn't exactly know how to get out. I wasn't really raised with the tools to get out. So as I contemplated for the first time in my life, do I need to be here? Is this the life for me? Having 3 children and a husband, I contemplated that. And a part of me asked me, why, having 3 beautiful children and a husband, do you still feel like you're not supported? And I think that it's because part of me didn't know part of me. So as I came through this, I had to start asking myself, who is Kimberly? Where is her strength? The Kimberly before, she was very submissive. She was very laid back. She was very sentimental. And so this Kimberly didn't have the strength to get up. So I had to dive deep. As I started to get abilities, and I remember the day that I surrendered to God. I don't think I could have surrendered to God any more than I did, because I surrendered with what I considered my whole being. And I just simply asked for help. I said, I need guidance. I need help. I need support. And after that, I kind of started to get abilities and insight. And I started to say, okay, God, if this is what I'm meant to do, then this is what I'm going to do. But how do I do it? So what I had to do is I started to go inside myself. I had to start to get to know who I was. I had to start to get to know who Kimberly's strengths were and how Kimberly could get the other Kimberly out of the hole. And the 2 of us started to merge. And as we started to merge, I started to find my strength. I started to get my footing in. I started to understand what energy is and how energy works. But before I was able to do that, I actually did deplete myself. I actually went into a complete adrenal failure. Through the process of adrenal failure, I was asked again, what do I need to do to get through this? How do I boost myself up? I didn't know that my mind, body, and spirit could do the things it did. So I knew that I had to sync all 3. I knew that without one, I couldn't work with the other, and I needed to sync all 3. I went within, I started to do meditation. I started to listen to myself, my inner guidance. And I started to find myself little by little. Through that process, I had to purge things. I had to purge beliefs that I didn't know I kept. I had to purge conditioning of what people put in my mind 10, 15 years ago that I didn't know even bothered me. So I had to learn different aspects of myself. And through that process, I was able to overcome different belief systems, different things that didn't belong to me, and different things that I allowed to stay in my energy that didn't belong to me from way back. Once we start as women taking back our power, taking back our identity, getting to know who we are, is where our true journey begins. Because then what we can do is we can say, you know what? I can do this. I do have a strength. I can get up, whether I have a husband or children or family or friends. We need to find the power within ourselves as women to get up and to succeed. And I think a lot of times we end up finding ourselves in that hole of who are we? What is our title as wives, as moms, as kids and daughters? We start to ask ourselves, who are we? And sometimes we find that answer later on in life, sometimes when we're in our 60s or 70s. So my whole advice to people would be find yourself before it's too late. Find your strengths, find out what's in there, find out what's in your inner packages, because I like to tell people to go in different rooms of their house and to go in their mind and to go into different rooms, find your self-esteem, find your confidence, find your self-worth, because these are really important as a woman in this world to succeed in what we're already conditioned in. And I think that's what's really important. And that's how we can get our footing. And that's how we can be good moms, good daughters. I was tested that day. And I'll never forget it. It brought on things in my mindset that I didn't even know I could have. My body did things that I didn't even know was possible. So us as women, we can be put to the test in lots of different ways. And it's always important to keep our footing, keep our grounding in, understand who we are, our true identities, our true core self. And then I think we'll be okay. I think that's what we lack in life. I think we forget who we are. We forget how to, like Joanna said, how to have self-love. And I think that sometimes we think we're not deserving. And that's a shame, because everybody is deserving of love. So I think that if we can get to know ourselves and get to know who you are, then I think that your strengths are within. Everything that you need to succeed, everything you need to get through a trauma is within. You just need to find it.
Amazing. Uh, what a life story that you've shared with us. And I truly understand. Yeah, I would say that in the scientific world, people, when we talk about God and when we talk about soul, both of you really spoke about it. It's something which the scientific world wouldn't even accept as a reality. But until Kimberly, you said energy. And energy is something which science and soul and God, it, energy can explain everything really. So it is really uh, that energy which you both have found. And Kimberly, you found it when you were in the when nothing was helping. And that's amazing. And again, something, if women realize much ahead of time that I'm just amazed even now to know that and we all face that you had your children, you had your husband, you had people around, still you didn't know. None of them was able to help you. And that's where your inner strength was something which you were able to actually focus on. And rather, what do you say, I mean, you were able to find it and then focus on it to really bring the amazing change that has helped you so much. And it also helped you battle your health issues.
Right.
That's brilliant. I mean, all that we talk about, drugs, nutrition, we talk about fitness, all of that is fine. But until unless it comes from within, and you've not looked inside, it's all not going to be as useful and as helpful. So just amazing. And on that thought, I want to now, of course, introduce Natalie, because Natalie has very similar views, but she also has some new thoughts and her experiences. And it's amazing that the way you are sharing your own experiences. And it takes courage to do that, but you're doing that. And you're doing that only to help so many other women out there. So I want to introduce Natalie Coleman. And she's a grateful survivor who inspired by all aspects relating to recovery and personal development. Having experienced persistent personal trauma from a young age and decades of addiction, anorexia, and poor mental health, she turned her life around in 2016. Natalie, totally, I respect you. I mean, you sharing this itself is great big a deal. And recovering from a seemingly hopeless state of mind, or state of body and mind. And her mission is to share a message of hope and that real sustainable personal change is possible no matter how unachievable it may appear. Uh, Born in South Africa, of course, but living in the UK since 2003, Natalie now embraces a successful career in the corporate world, but her real life purpose lies in work she does outside 9 to 5, where she seeks to help individuals who experience similar struggles to those that she has overcome. She demonstrates that living life on life's terms. Very interesting. Achieving freedom from self destructive behavior and, most importantly, learning to love ourselves is a gift available to us all. It is achievable, she says, one day at a time through gratitude and grace. So after soul, divinity, and we now have gratitude and grace. What an amalgamation it's going to be for all of us. Natalie, really over to you. We really want to hear. Uh, these are two amazing words, gratitude and grace. Grace, and I would love to hear. We all would love to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Rajashree. And I just, you know what, I feel so humbled and so honored to be, on a platform like this and to share it with such, such beautiful people such as Joanna and Kimberley. So thank you so much. I won't go too far into detail about the the downfall that I experienced that culminated in my my addiction and anorexia and everything. But I think that the place of self-destruction that I found myself in was because, yes, I experienced trauma as a young girl growing up, as no young girl should have to go through. And I didn't necessarily have the tools as I was growing up to deal with, the trauma that I had experienced. I only had the tools that I had at my disposal. And those tools of dealing with that trauma were, resorting to self-destructive behavior.
Right.
And that just became a sort of a crux and a lifestyle for me, as I grew up, and it's all I really knew. And I think, what you said, just as you were talking, life on life's terms. So I, through decades of my life, thought that I was doing okay most of the time, but I was not dealing with life on its terms. And I had a level of emotional immaturity that didn't allow me to deal with situations as they needed to be dealt with. And I'd escape from reality into my own world of alcoholism, addiction, and eating disorders, and that to me was my coping mechanism. And until it got to the point where it was really in 2014, 2015, I'd been through some really low points, but finally my health had given up. My emotion, my mental state had given up, and I was at a point that was seemingly hopeless. And by the grace of God, which I never appreciated at the time, I was given an opportunity to seek help in a private treatment facility out in South Africa, which is where I was born. And so began my journey, not only of recovery from substance abuse and mental ill health, but so began the journey of finding out who I am. And I just love what Kimberly's been talking about and what Joanna's been talking about, and how I can relate so much to it, because it was only when I was asked the question in the treatment facility in one of the group sessions and all of that therapy that we'd get, you know, it was a question along the lines of, who are you? Just be yourself. Who are you? And it struck me that I didn't actually have a clue who I was, because I was everything to everybody as I was going through life. And I had a mask for just about every situation, because I didn't have a sense of me. I didn't have a sense of my own identity. And because I didn't have a sense of my own identity, how could I love me? Didn't know who I am, or who I was. I was just that person that I wanted everybody to like. And it came as quite a big shock, because the mirror had to be put up and I had to start learning to deal with with getting to know me and to love me. Now, you see, I don't believe that we as women, we as a people, need to get to the depths of despair that necessarily I did to be able to, to start learning who we are and finding out, what our purpose in life and is everything. But my story is that, and those depths of despair presented me with the opportunity to start to forgive myself and forgive others that had an influence in my life. And forgiveness has been such a great part of mental restoration, or mental rebirth, shall we say, because I was holding on to so much resentment and fear of the past that was trapping me from moving forward, or at least living in the present. And learning to let go of the past, to accept what had happened, and there's nothing I can do to change the past. Learn from it, live in the present, and move forward, hopefully to help others to escape those those chains of the past. And that did so much for me, being able to forgive, being able to move forward, and as I say, start to learn about me, start to love me one step at a time. And it's not something that happens overnight. But it's a beautiful thing when it starts to happen. And we are all so capable of getting there. It was, I think Kimberley said, those aha moments might come much later in life. I mean, I'm nearly 50 and I only had my revelation in life, some 4 years back. It's never too late to be able to sit back and, to dig deep and start to appreciate our unique selves for who we are, regardless of what we've been through before, letting go of the past, embracing the present, not fearing the future, but being able to determine our future by the energy, as Kimberley was saying, and the presence of mind and the peace that we hold within ourselves now. And this, I mean, we could talk for hours on this, because the self-realization that I had is so massive, because I had no spiritual connection throughout my life. I really did not. And so I'm a bit of a baby in the world of of like understanding my higher self. And it's so amazing. And what I want to say to women out there is that it's not too late to let go and let God and let the universe, whatever it is that your higher power is, through meditation, through stillness, through conversations like this and with people that have experienced similar stuckness, getting unstuck, regardless of the place that you've been. And I'll tell you something else, and it goes back to what you said, the gratitude and grace. For me, gratitude changes everything for me too. Because if I can be grateful for not only what I have, but who I am, I think it stands to reason that my expectations are not going to be that great. And I fell so short because my expectations were always so great. And so I was never satisfied. And so to have that attitude, it's a bit of an overused term maybe, but to live with an attitude of gratitude, oh my goodness, it kind of changes so much. It really, really does. And just a little helpful, just something I do on a daily basis is I have my gratitude journal. Every day I write down 10 things that I'm grateful for. And you'll be amazed how many things, even the smallest things or some of the most overwhelming things that we have to be grateful for. It's a beautiful thing. And I know so many people that I work with and that over the years that I've kind of helped in sort of in the fellowships and my addiction circles and recovery circles, and everybody who has embarked on the journey has said that embracing gratitude as a starter is a good thing, is a great thing, because it really does start to put life into perspective as well. Mm-hmm. It really starts to put life into perspective. And something else I'd like to say that has helped me is to just keep things simple. Because I was an expert at ruminating, harboring thoughts, harboring what I think people are thinking about me, just, confusing my mind with thoughts that don't need to be there, things that aren't actually happening, are not going to happen, because how would I know? And stuff that's happened before, regurgitating them in my mind. I don't need to do that. Keep it simple. Keep life as simple as I can. And I don't know if that resonates with people out there, but I really used to complicate things a lot. And it's one of the first things that was taught to me in my journey of recovery is one day at a time. Keep it simple. Be grateful. Speak. Talk. Which is something I never used to do. And it's amazing. I get to meet people like and every day. And it's and you know what? One last thing. Progress, not perfection. And I still fall short of that because, I caught in the corporate world and everything, which I'm able to cope with a lot more than I used to. But we are about progress and not perfection, because aiming for that perfection, what's that about? It always just set me up for failure because I could never achieve it. Yeah. So it's, I just feel so grateful for this second chance in life. And what I want to say is that it is possible. Recovery from whatever it is, emotionally or physically, goodness, it is possible. And it all starts with a conversation, with letting go. Yeah, and it's just so beautiful. I just sometimes don't have words for how grateful I am to be in the place that I am, and I thank you.
Very interesting that you said perfection not no perfection, but progress. And
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm just giving a very lame small example, but I know when I lived in New York and I used to work with some of these great agencies, just as Joanna, maybe a typical corporate kind of a setup, and we were into science and journals and publications, and people used to watch every full stop and comma, and when I got there from India, and I would be like, you know what, if I probably utilize this time trying to write another article, wouldn't that be more useful? So it is really that, the progress, and not, and don't need, I mean, perfection, yes, you need it, but you shouldn't be like totally focused to just being perfect at everything. You have to be great at everything. You don't need to be perfect at everything. So I'm very intrigued. And Joanna, did you want to say something? It looked like you wanted to add something.
Well, I just love the comment about gratitude, right? Because gratitude, it can change our lives, right?
Yeah.
It's a higher energy, a higher vibration, but it just makes you feel good, right? And part of
Yeah.
me moving from the illness, right, was to reset the way I saw things. And gratitude was a big part of that. And I just want to share, someone called me out of the blue yesterday to say she wanted to tell me how much she loved the book that I'd written, how grateful she was that she wrote the book. And it just, so she felt good, right? Because she's going on about it, right? And how grateful she was because gratitude changed her life. And all I could think was how grateful I was that she reached out and how grateful I am. And I have to start doing it myself. So I'm pretty grateful, right? But I don't often share my gratitude with other people. So it is like each one of you is such a beautiful soul, right? And I'm so grateful to know each of you. And why don't we share that more often?
Yes.
And I think like it was such an uplifting moment when she called me, and it was like, wow, we should do this, not only for me, but share it more often and tell other people how grateful you are, because it really will make you feel better and make them feel better too, and win-win for everyone.
I agree with
Well,
you.
I just want to add a few thoughts. I mean, I don't want to really talk on nutrition today, but it could really and this is another thing which has helped Joanna, and it can help a lot of women out there. I keep saying, try to gain as much knowledge that you can about nutrition, about being fit within, and not just looking at the outwardly beauty, but trying to focus on your every cell and every organ, and that every cell and organ needs good food, but it at the same time needs your soul should be the one which is actually pleased, and thoughts like divinity, which Kimberly is practicing. These are not the usual science, but until unless all this is there, and when I am actually consulting some of the patients, unless I do a lot of counseling, unless we do that sharing and talking, Joanna, it doesn't really it's like imparting this whole methodology to them, but which has to be a part of them. It's not something which they're just following a paper diet or something like that. So it's very difficult. I think we've probably all realized in life, after so many years, that all these thoughts that you all have presented takes time till we actually get there. But there are a lot of women out there, especially the younger ones, who probably started with their careers or who are probably at college, Natalie, and there are so many women at that young age who could get drifted to not know what to do. Uh, they're exposed to much more than what we were exposed to before. But the awareness is also equally there. So I think, Joanna, you are totally right, telling the lady that I think the more that we share and talk about this, I feel we are a panel from all different countries. One is from UK, who's originally been from South Africa. One is from Canada. One is from US. I'm from India.
Yeah.
But all of us really, I think,
Yeah.
we are all same, and there are we could be in different situations, or rather we could be in different places, but the situations are really the same that we experience. And what Joanna, you said that, taking care of all the taking care of children, husband, and being perfect at everything, and then being perfect at our job is so extremely difficult. But I think that's where sometimes I talk the business language, because the girls who are actually doing, working out there, they do understand that, it's courage, conviction, and consistency. And I keep telling them that, courage is a very deep word. Courage is in everything, right? Yeah, doing different kinds of job, giving up your job and doing something new. Also having courage in saying no, having courage to say that, this is it, put your foot down. All that takes a lot of courage. I think another thing that women have to focus on is self-worth, which
Yes.
all of you have been talking about. And I think uh, the word self-worth itself has to be advertised a lot. We never look at ourselves, like Joanna again said, not being selfish, but look at yourself. Don't look at the mirror, look at yourself. So just a few pointers from my end, but all of us have had challenges in our lives. Even I did 6 years ago, when I lost my father, who was legendary in the industry that I work in. And then it was the life completely changed. And I think that's probably where I would agree with the thought that Natalie presented. It's like living life on life's terms. That is something which has a lot, which has such a deep meaning, Natalie. So to learn that itself, it's a session in itself that you could actually impart to a lot of women out there. And gratitude and grace, and keep giving. I've hardly seen people while they're talking, you ask them, I keep asking people at time, what's your strength? What do you like to do? I hardly see, what are your drivers? I've hardly seen anyone saying give. Very few people say give, and they actually mean that give. So you three are awesome. You're coming here, you're sharing your stories, which women would never do that. I mean, they would hide somewhere, but then they wouldn't reach where you all have reached. You found yourself. You found all the. Uh, you're training other people to find themselves as well. So, having said that, I want to throw open this uh, the floor for us to have some more discussion around this. Joanna, you wanted to say something?
Well, I think it's very interesting, right? That we all have had something traumatic in our lives, right? And I think the majority of people, some people have things worse, some people it's not as
Yes.
challenging, but we've each learned from it, right? And I think that's the big thing. Like we've taken what's happened and we've gone, that's not going to work. So now I have to reinvent myself. I have to recreate myself. I have to do something different than I ever did before. Or like Kimberley, where she found herself again, right? Found the old part and combined it with this new part. But that's all, like, I think for every single person on this planet, right? That's what we're here for, is to find that best version of ourselves and to move through events, traumas, adventures, right? And with that equanimity, but that ability to go, all right, that sucked, but
Yeah.
let's find, a gift from it and to move forward with it, progress, not perfection, and move forward. And, we all have trauma and we've all done something with it. And I think every single one of us, that's what we try and do, is to help other people learn from their trauma, whatever's happened.
One more thing I have realized is, I think as women, or being the female, the comparison between male and female is that, we have never been taught to be strong, and that, that strength can be a strength actually, is something which we never are taught in our entire lives. We've never looked at men. Yes, it's about they being strong. We've never been taught, but actually speaking, we're so strong. If someone tells us that's our strength, imagine the number of things that we are juggling, and we are strong. You're mentally so strong, and I think, Natalie, that part of it probably revived you from all that you were dealing with, and when you realize that it's you who can take over all those challenges that you were facing, and not some other substances or things which could actually help you out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, Rajashree, I agree with you there. I found an inner strength that I did not know existed. And I think I was blessed to capture a window of opportunity to be able to surrender to the fact that I was done, and to start to ask for help. I think that that's so important for
Yes.
anybody, any of the ladies or anybody that's watching, is it's okay to ask for help. I always saw it as, leave me alone. I'll do it myself, because I've always fended for myself. I've always managed my own chaos. I'll fix it. Never did, clearly. But yeah, just asking for help, I think it's such an underestimated, not skill, but thing, whatever you want to call it, is trait, is to ask for help, accept the help.
Yeah.
Well, because often we see asking. Sorry, Natalie. Often we see asking for help as a vulnerable, that it shows.
Yes, totally. Totally.
And I've known, and I know, speaking with everyone here, right, that like vulnerability is a sign of strength, right?
Yes.
If you can ask for help, it shows
Yes.
that you're okay with putting it out there that, okay, I need help, and I can accept help from someone else. And that's an amazing place to be. And it's okay to do that.
Yeah, you got to have that courage to actually do that, and if you do, then you're strong in itself. That's proven. Yeah. Natalie, do you want to add to it?
Yeah. No, it does take courage to ask for help, because it might mean that we need to start being honest, and looking inside. And you see, and that's where I think that finding the right people to talk to is so important. Find someone who's not judgmental. They may or may not have been through the exact same thing that you've been through, because, to be fair, nobody's been through exactly what I've been through, what you've been through, what Kimberley or Joanna's been through, but somebody that has an empathetic soul, who is non-judgmental and might not have the answers, but might be able to steer you in the direction where the answers might be. But you know what? When you're in a place where you're stuck and you're in pain, it is difficult to ask for help and to start looking at, because we need to start looking at ourselves. And I know that it was a bit scary, but once that first step is made, and we can start to put together the pieces of why our behaviors or our emotions and reactions to life are what they are, we put the reasons why, then a whole world of self-discovery comes. Oh my goodness, I can easily change that. Now I understand why I react to somebody like that. Yeah. It's because of my own insecurity, and it doesn't need to be, because I am worthy.
Yeah.
And so find the right person.
Yeah.
That's so important, right?
Yeah.
Because like every single one of us, right? We're all coaches, right? And we all, reach out to help other people. And we all have different stories, exactly as you said, Natalie, but Kimberley, responds in the way that she does. And I respond in the way that I do, and you do. And, you made a great point too, that none of us will have the answers, but that's not our role. Our role is to guide you to find what works best for you, as opposed to, like, it's never going to be about us. It's what works best for you.
Right.
And each one of us does that in different ways with our own talents, our own abilities, our own intuition, right? Whatever works best for us, however we're guided to help.
So the other aspect which Kimberly sort of brings, like you said, we all are going to help them in a different way. Kimberly, you in fact looked inside you instead of trying to look for help outside, and you did find that help in God, and you tried to find that the strength inside you. And whoever out there, I mean, I know when we talk about divinity, finding God, and all these things, people sort of don't believe in it. But whoever doesn't believe in divinity, then they have to we have to refer them to destiny. So when you talk about destiny, you don't know what destiny has in store for you, and then what is destiny? I feel they are two sides of the same coin. So if there is destiny, there has to be divinity. So people got to believe in what you did. So what would you like to say to these people, and how do we really look inside us even
It
further?
was a very interesting journey for me for sure, because I did have a lot of judgment. I did have a lot of people point fingers saying, not who am I, but what am I?
Yeah.
And I
Right.
think that, that just, that wasn't a deterrent necessarily for me. That was something that kept me from saying, you know what, I'm going to stay with who I am, regardless of what people think. And I kept my name as Divine Guide. And I think I actually put the word faith-based in front of that. And a lot of people have the problem with a divine guide being faith-based. But I think that, a lot of people can be hypocritical too, because in some time in our life, we do ask for divine guidance and help. And so I think that for me, that was simply what happened to me. But I had to create boundaries, and I had to create really strong ones. And in order for me to create boundaries, that helped me stay aligned. That helped me stay okay, because the more that I let people come at me, the more that people had the habit of saying, I don't understand, and I got to the attitude where, you know what, I don't need you to understand me. I had to go within myself many, many, many times and ask myself, coming from no faith-based background. Now, my husband is also from India. So he's from Mumbai, India, and he was grown into a Christian background. And I found myself many, many times asking myself, what am I? Am I a Christian descent? And I went to the fact of I'm faith. I believe in faith. I don't necessarily believe in a religion. I believe in faith. And I think all of us need faith in our life in one way or another. And I think that if we just allow ourselves to just be in the present and stop trying to overthink things, because I think we tend to overthink our lives. I think we tend to overthink why things happen to us. And if we just say, you know what, let's just be. Let's just be in the present. Let's just be with the moment. And look at it on that observation instead of, I always tell people who put their past aside, I tell them, bring your past with you. Your past created you to be strong. Your past created you to find abilities that you didn't know you had. But we can look at our past as a good thing, not necessarily as a bad thing. We can look at it as growth, as change. Instead of saying, I want to sweep it under the rug. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's all about perspective. And it's all about kind of what Natalie said. I'm a firm believer telling people, you know what, we only do what we do at the time because of what we have. And we're only set in our journey with certain tools. As we learn, as we become adults and we become awakened adults, we start to learn what we can use in our toolbox. What is our daily things that we can use? What are our daily things that work for us? And then we get to add things, and then we get to delete things. And we'll say, you know what, I'm going to step it up with this theory, and I'm going to delete this one because that doesn't work. So as we grow and as we adjust our tools in our toolbox. So it never stops. We always keep getting added things in our life that we can use if we simply learn to go within and grab them. And I think a lot of us don't know that we have the tools already in our toolbox to grow, to change, to be that best version of ourselves. And I think that's what we really need to do as women. Instead of just being put in a mold, we just need to be. We need to be who we are. We need to be our authentic self. We need to be organic. And, we don't need to fit in a box. We don't deserve to be in a box. So we just need to be ourselves.
very interesting.
You know
Yeah.
what I love?
Natalie,
I
did you
love
want to say something?
Yeah, sorry. I love it when you say that, Kimberly. Just
Uh-huh.
be,
I think this is one of
just
the issues,
be.
though, is that most women don't know who they are. You mentioned it before, Kimberly, right? And I was in the same
Yeah,
boat, and it was, I didn't know who I was, right?
yeah.
But the more that you go inside, right? Like Kimberly just said, right? And you said before, Natalie and Rajashree, like the more you go inside
Yeah.
and be in the moment and explore now, right? Let go of the past. Well, bring it forward if you want to, right? To explore
Yeah.
it and let go of that worrying about the future, but being present now, you can start to explore. Like as a homeopath, I have to ask my clients one of the questions, right? I ask 100 questions getting to know them, but like it's like, who are you? Like, tell me who you are. Pretend we don't know each other, which a lot of times I don't, but tell me who you are. And most people go, I don't know. I think I'm kind of nice, right? I'm loyal, but and I was the same way. So it is like, who are you? And go into specifics, right? Are you loyal? Are you a giver? Are you one that is very contemplative, right? Do you spend too much time thinking? But actually, like, really dive in and get to know who you are so that you can be you.
Well, what you said, Joanna, is totally true. I mean, I will have to even accept that, a few years ago, I didn't know what I was. I was probably at the highest level managerial positions in the big corporate companies, but today probably I'm the founder and CEO of three companies, but I do know what I'm doing, and I do know what I am is what I think. I mean, and that's why this journey really trying to get all of you together, because that's how we are learning every day. We get to know ourselves more when we get into these conversations that we are into. Sometimes we don't even realize that we didn't look at that aspect of life, which Natalie was talking about, or which Kimberly was talking about. Honestly, Kimberly, if a few years ago someone had told me about how you help people heal, I would be like, what is she talking about? But that's how when you realize how people have so much of deeper insights into it, and how they've helped people get out of it. There are different. Joanna, you are absolutely right. The different people needing different help, and all we can do is really help. Maybe not give them solutions. They have to find their own solutions, which is very true. We're almost an hour over with our program. Like I said, this is going to probably be our first program, but I'll be very happy to get all of you again on a program. We take up these kind of topics, being specific, and trying to impart more and more understanding of these graver issues to women. And I don't think it's only women. It's everyone in the world. If we're able to help people at different stages of life, that can be amazing. But I want you to leave the viewers with your final, some takeaways that they can actually practice at home, and uh, I would say grow, learn, and grow. Beyond that, not everyone is facing challenges, but this can actually prepare them for any challenges that they might face in their lives. Really, who wants to go first?
I'll go first. I'm always one of those ones, you don't want that silence for a moment there. I
Sure.
think
Yeah.
for me, the biggest thing that I teach all of my clients is to be that observer in your life. Like, be curious about what you feel physically. Be curious about because your body's telling you what you need to know. Be curious about your thoughts, notice them, because a lot of them are repetitive and it's a loop and we get caught up in negative thinking. And also be curious about your emotions. What am I really feeling? How have I been triggered today? Because your whole life is a feedback loop trying to teach you more about yourself. So the more curious you are, the more of an observer you are, the more you can come to know yourself better.
Well, just a quick question for you though, which I just felt like asking is, like, if we all were there around at that time, if someone like us was around out there when you were in your professional career doing extremely well, but at the same time you were not happy, would it have been different for you? Would it have been better for you, or
You know what? I think
or
that
is it's
we're
great the way it is today?
well, we're ready when we're ready, right? My journey's been this lifelong journey. And so if someone had come into my life, probably not. Like at that point in time, I was pretty focused on that corporate world, right? And doing things a certain way. And if someone came along and told me, well, intuitively, I know that you're not happy, I would have gone, okay, and smiled, not in my head.
What
So
are you talking about?
yeah. So we hear
Yeah.
when we're ready. So yeah.
Perfect.
Mhm.
Natalie, what would you want to say?
Do you know what I would say? Honor yourself with a little bit of time every day, even if it's. I know we've all got busy lives, and but the power of just giving ourselves a set time every day, be it 10 minutes, be it half an hour, be it an hour, whatever you can fit into your day, preferably in the morning. Just ladies out there, give yourself that quiet time to center yourself before the day starts. Center yourself and just be quiet, be still, and be grateful. And journal. It is such a beautiful thing. Just journal what you're grateful for every day, even if it's 5 things, whatever it is. But just have that me time, you time every day, just to set yourself up for the day. It's just something practical that I'd like to put out there that I know works for me, and I know when I haven't, you know, taken the time to really sit and focus and be with myself and my higher power in the morning. Yeah, it's an amazing way to start the day. So on a practical level, that's what I'd say. Give it a try. Really does work.
Over to you, Kimberly.
So I would say, let's not take things so personally. Let's learn how to take people for where they are, meet them where they're at in life, and stop taking things so much into our energy field that we end up with preconditioning thoughts. So I would say, if there's somebody that's having a bad day or somebody's having an off day and they're coming at you for some reason, look at it from a different angle. We don't know what they're going through. We don't know what's happening in their life. We don't know why they're angry that day. So instead of taking things like, oh my gosh, this person's rude, and firing back like a lot of us do in society, we defend actions. I would say, you know what? Let's stop defending. Let's just meet them where they are, send them love and light and healing energy, and then let, God help them or guide them. But I think that we need to stop defending people's actions because we're being offended by it. So keep it out of our energy field and just meet people where they are and stop judging people because we never know what path they're walking.
Well, this program for me has totally left me with divine energy, is what I can say, Kimberly. First of all, because unlike what I was a few years ago, I'm totally in awe with what you're doing. And apart from the fact, another big takeaway is progress versus perfection. Focus on yourself, and just as Joanna, I mean, I could say she's one of the sorted people I have seen. She does have answers for a lot of things because she's balanced a lot in her life. She's also gone back and studied so many different aspects of health as well. It's what she says is, you should take, just as Natalie said, take help. But she said that, take help from us and discuss things out, and you can balance things out and focus on yourself. So these were real good, great learnings for me. What I would say is, look inside you, believe in yourself. I think these two things women need to focus on. And uh, if you can, try to find your own purpose. And if that is something you have passion for, I think that can really make your life much easier for women like me, of course. But beautiful thoughts, and I'm going to thank each of you from the bottom of my heart, Joanna, Rogister, for actually getting Natalie and Kimberly on the show, connecting all of us. And Natalie, Coleman, I am, you're a brave woman. You've done so much. You've come a long way, and you have the courage to share all that with us. It's just awesome. And Kimberly, I can only say I can see only beauty and divinity out there. Thank you so much, all three of you, for joining in here, and I hope you all had a good time,
Yes.
just as the viewers will have watching it. So I'll take your leave for today, and we will be back sometime soon with such beautiful thoughts again. I'm going to thank the RSD Energia team, which is of course a nutrition products company, but they keep supporting us at the back end, trying to do all these technical arrangements, as well as taking these shows to so many different groups, trying to make them viral so that our thoughts actually reach out to maximum number of people. So, and we've relentlessly done about 200 plus shows in the whole pandemic year, and I hope that we will go ahead with these positive talks that we had today. So thank you very much uh, to you, beautiful women, and such a pleasure to be with you.
Thanks, Rajashree. Thanks,
Thank you.
ladies.